Hello there and welcome to another video. Please subscribe to the channel. In today's video I've taken a trip to the edge of the Lake District in England to discover an old shoe factory team. Yes, today I am in Kendall with its crazy but pragmatic one-way car system. When you know, you know. Nice little town, there's a river. Now, a story for this football club starts right here, because this area here, now called the K Village, was once the home of the K Shoes Factory. Now, dating back to the 19th century, this shoe factory ended up being quite famous, and it was situated here on what was called the Netherfield site. Just like the mining villages over in County Durham and elsewhere, the factories often had a works team connected to it, and this place was no different. They had the Netherfields cricket and football clubs. Now, some of you might be thinking, Netherfield? Never heard of that team. Who are they? Well, they do still exist, but with a different name. In fact, the Netherfield Cricket Club still exists, but the Netherfield Football Club is the modern day Kendall Town FC. So while the K Shoes Factory Netherfield site was situated just there where that Travelodge is, and who doesn't love a Travelodge, the football and cricket grounds weren't too far away at all, up here on Parkside Road. In fact, here's a little sign for us: Kendall Town FC. The football club were known as Netherfield all the way up until 1998, when they changed the name to Netherfield Kendall for a couple of seasons, but since 2000 they've been known as Kendall Town. Most of that time as Kendall Town, they've been playing in the Northern Premier League until they got relegated to the North West Counties League. But this season they've been playing in the Northern League, which is rather a contentious issue. The reason being is because of certain promotions and relegations, Kendall were actually transferred over to the Northern League, which they're not happy about at all because of the travel distances they'd have to make every week. For a team in Kendall, it's much easier to travel down the sort of M6 on the west side of the country than it is to keep travelling over the Pennines to County Durham and the northeast. The problem really is that players don't really want to make that sort of rather awkward journey every other week, which means that they're less likely to play for a club like Kendall, and they'd rather play for other teams, especially if they're based in Lancashire and Manchester area, somewhere like that. Anyway, it's not working out too badly. They're doing okay in the Northern League, and at this point they might get into the playoffs. And here's the ground. Before I have a look in the football ground, I just want to show you a little bit of the cricket ground, which is just opposite here. So you can see back in the day you'd have the two works clubs side by side, the Netherfield football ground there and the Netherfield cricket club just here. A lot of international cricketers have already played here, particularly South African ones. So Jack Callis, one of the greatest all-rounders of all time, Herschel Gibbs, Dirk Nanisdale, Benkenstein, plus Callum Ferguson, they've all played at this lovely cricket ground here. Anyway, let's see if we can get a look into the football ground. So we've got the club here with the park venue. Here's your officials and directors entrance. Down here it says turnstile number 1. I'm not totally sure where that is. It points to down here. It's like, is it just here? It doesn't look like it. See? So you can probably tell that the colours of the club are black and white stripes. And it's a really good sized car park, which is always nice. Admission £7, which I think is the standard Northern League admission. And you can see it's got a fair bit going on for it. Not sure what's actually in this building here. Anyway, there's nowhere open just here, but I think we can get a better view of the ground from the hill on the other side, so I'm going to take a look around there. I've just come through the cemetery on the other side, and here we've got the best view of the ground. Look at this. Now, the heyday of Netherfield or Kendall town was probably in the 1950s and 60s, when they got to the FA Cup proper a few times. And in fact, in 1950, well 49-50, they got to the second round where they lost to Watford 6-0. And 1953-54, they got to the first round again, where they lost to Wrexham in a replay. Then in 1954-55, they lost at home to Grimsby in the first round in front of a record crowd of 5,184. In 1963-4, they played Chesterfield and lost 4-1 in the second round replay. And then in 64-65, lost at home to Barnsley 3-1 here. So quite a few of established league clubs have played here in the FA Cup. I really like these old grounds because they have all sorts of quirks. Now, this, I guess, was an entrance at one point. And if we look over here, we've got all these remnants of things before. This looks like it was a ticket booth. And then over here, we've got these black and white blocks. Which, luckily, I've just talked to someone at the club, and I'm okay to go and have a proper look around in the ground in a minute, so that's great. But yeah, if we look up here, wonder what this was. This is like one of my abandoned grounds, except it's only part abandoned. Look, it's a bathroom, toilets in there. I'm guessing this was the ladies. You can see how old this stand is with the corrugated steel roof there. The reason I know that was the ladies is because if we go down here, we've got something that anyone who watched football in the 1980s will remember. Well, if you're a man anyway. Which is these old male toilets where basically you just pee up against the wall here. Possibly without a roof. Not many grounds where you have a dry stone wall into the perimeter. Dugouts. And the changing rooms I know are in this stand here, which surprised me because I thought they'd be at the other end where the clubhouse is. I'd say just over about 100 seats in this stand here. Roof, though old, looks like it works. Could technically watch the match for free from the cemetery there. And this is what I guess you'd call the main stand. No individual seats though, just actual bench seats. So here's the actual dressing rooms here, look. Here's where he'd run onto the pitch. So further to what I was saying earlier on about moving over to the Northern League, I just talked to a guy from the club there, and he said that the coach costs themselves have gone up from £4,000 to £16,000 this season. So the cost increase is absolutely massive. And then at the same time they're having to pay a bit more expenses to the players. A lot of the players come down from sort of North Lancashire, Lancaster way, so it's a real pain for quite a few people to want to travel over there. And you know, the main road from Kendall over to the northeast and most of the Northern League teams is the A66, which is okay-ish in nice weather, but when it gets icy, that road can often get shut, so travelling over there can be an absolute pain. So it's logistic issues just as much as financial issues. So for a club like Kendall and other Cumbrian teams, say like Penrith, it's a real problem playing in that Northern League, but where else do you play if you want to play at this level? Ideally, if they don't get promoted, Kendall would like to be transferred back over to the North West Counties League, but the problem is that a lot of the teams who get relegated don't want to come into the Northern League, so you're always going to have that problem of lopsided leagues in terms of location. You know that at the start of the season, even the local MP raised the issue of the problem, and Kendall certainly did make an appeal to the FA about the where they were placed in the league. There's nothing to do with the Northern League, it's totally an FA decision. The other problem a club like Kendall has coming into the Northern League is that I would argue that at the top end the Northern League is a much more competitive league than the North West Counties, in that there's a few clubs in the Northern League who are very ambitious and are at a pretty much higher standard than a lot of the rest of the league. So certainly winning the league ahead of a club like Redcar Athletic, who are very ambitious, is always going to be very difficult, and then you've got to rely on getting in the top 5 to get in the playoffs. And if your travel costs have already gone up from £4,000 to £16,000 a year, then that's 12 grand less that you could theoretically spend on a better class of players, or at least persuading players to come and play up here. I think this has got to be one of the favourite grounds I've visited. It's got so much history and it's got a little bit of something on every side of the ground. The black and white stripes again behind the goal there. Looks like there's a little bit of a slope coming from the top end down. Bit of a ridge on the side. Yeah, then you've got like proper old style terracing on the side here. Look at the little scoreboard there, Kendall Town 0, Visitors 0. It's a rare non-league ground at this level where you've got plenty of good elevated vantage points to watch the match. You're not just stood around the pitch. Plenty of choices about where you want to go. Yeah, you can see there's definitely sort of a ridge going from left to right up the side. Currently Kendall Town get crowds of about 250-ish. The guy was just telling me that recently when they played Cumbrian derby against Carlisle City, they took about 150 fans up there. It's one of the only chances that fans get to go up on public transport to a match. Otherwise it's really difficult if you don't drive, and a bit of an arse as well. Here's some of those old style male toilets again. Happily not being used anymore. Not officially anyway. This is the shooting club that I talked about right at the start. A lot of non-league clubs have these can bars now. See, you've got even more covered terracing over here. Roof is a little bit leaky in places, but not everywhere. I can really see a slope going from the top right there now, all the way down the pitch there. I'm guessing Kendall would want to kick to the left in the second half, downhill. Back to the main entrance of the ground. I can see there is a turnstile actually there. It's really good seeing all the black and white stripes in the ground, giving that sense of identity. Tea house up these steps, so during the match you can come up here and get quite a good view as well. Well, a very good view. You've got to love tree-lined football grounds with hills in the distance. More seats along here, and there are 178. Not sure I'd want to sit here when it's raining, mind. A little bit cover at the back. Depends which way the rain's coming, I guess. If it's cold and raining, the best place is to be in the clubhouse, I think, looking through that window up there. So I've just learned also that this corrugated stand here is possibly coming down at the end of the season, and the containers in the background are going to be brought in, and there's going to be a sort of an enhanced catering type area there. And so yes, I've heard that, like most non-league clubs, it's a volunteer sort of run club, close-knit volunteers, and again the club was just getting on an even keel financially and logistically, and they got relegated when they got transferred back over to the Northern League, and that just threw another grenade into it. So a lot of the players don't get back till, you know, 1:30, 2:30 in the morning, back home that is, after a night match. So that's not good if you're going to work the next day. It's amazing, isn't it? You have Pep Guardiola and other managers complaining about 2 games a week, and here you have players playing a midweek game in horrible weather, travelling back to the club, travelling home, getting up for work the next day, often labour intensive work. And at some times of the season, if there's a backlog, could be 2 midweek games, and yet they have to deal with all the same kind of injuries, sometimes even worse because you don't have the level of physio care, etc. And the game at this level can be a lot more physical, probably more so back in the day. Just back up to the corner in the ground where we started. So you can see, even with the steps, it just feels historical and old. Feels like a normal football ground in the 1980s, like professional grounds and that level used to have a lot of this sort of brickwork and obviously terracing. I love terracing. When terracing's finally gone, it'll just be the death of football. Okay, here's the treat. I'm back at the clubhouse area, and I'm actually able to go inside and have a proper look around inside. So let's see if we can find any decent memorabilia in here. Main entrance. Bar, local brewery, Hawk's Head. If we look over here, nice Kendall town shirt. Some historical pictures. And like I was saying earlier, the best view on a rainy day is probably from here, where you can just watch the match in the warm. All sorts going on in here, fruity. Look at this. Haven't seen one of those in the clubhouse before. Really nice lounge. But the more interesting stuff is up in the boardroom up here. This looks like a little stage. And here we go, the Kendall Town FC boardroom. So as it said, on match days, directors only. And here we are. This beauty. So much of the history here, look. You see the Netherfield. I really like this because with the name being different now, it's good to know, to see the history of the club with the old name. Look at this badge. Oh, I love this. Oh, it's beautiful. Just found this match day programme here. As you can see, back Northern League now. This is interesting. You've got a Netherfield FC pennant here with the K in the middle, standing for the K Shoes Factory. So showing that link between the works and the football club. This little plaque here was presented by the Mayor of Kendal, Kendall Town Council, to commemorate the centenary of Kendall Town Football Club from 1919 to 2019. So I've got a couple of shirts here. This one on the left commemorates getting to the Cooperative Challenge Trophy final in 2012, which is a trophy run by the Lancashire FA. There's the ticket. They played Chorley. Just want to take a closer look at this picture. Look how many people are in the ground in this. I wonder if this was one of the FA Cup matches. You can see the stand over there, completely full. People standing right on the top of the hill at the back. There's going to be a few thousand in there at least. Okay then, that's it for this video from Kendal Town FC here in Cumbria, formerly Westmoreland by the way. I hope you really enjoyed it. Please subscribe to the channel. Thank you to the people who let me look around the ground. They know who they are. And you take care. I'll see you in the next one.